Good morning, everyone. Wonderful, beautiful, cold day here in Denver. And Anna Lear, who is with Young Americans Center for Financial Education. She is the Vice President of YouthBiz. And we are so excited that you are here. Thank you so much for coming today. We're excited about this presentation. Our students and adults, including myself, definitely need a reminder that managing your money is so important. And if we can learn this at an early age and start at an early age, believe you me that I wish I had more of this when I was in high school. So welcome. I will turn my camera off just so you know, so you get all the attention. And so I'm here if you have questions, or I can definitely anytime somebody's going to come in, I'll manage chat unless you get a question on your own. But go ahead and take it away. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So today we're going to talk a little bit about budgeting and how you manage money. At Young Americans Center, I oversee all of the YouthBiz programming, which is all of the entrepreneurship programming that we manage here at Young Americans Center. And so we help young people become business owners. We teach classes in schools about business ownership. We provide resources and support. We have a business competition. We do a lot for young people to start businesses, but it really all starts with managing money. Because if you can't manage your own personal finances, it will be very challenging to apply that to a business. And usually you're managing larger sums of money when you start a business. And so if you can't manage your own money first, that's kind of the starting point for all of it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. So when we're talking about money, there are generally 4 categories of how you use money in a traditional sense, right? So this is a big picture view, and we're not going to get into the nitty gritty, but we are going to talk about the buckets. So the first one is earning, right? So this is any way that you make money, pretty basic. You could make money from a job. You could make money from an inheritance if someone bequeaths something to you. Or you could get a return on investment. So if you invest in something, which we're going to talk about shortly, and you make a profit from that, that's what we call a return on investment. So that's earning that you can use money by earning it. You can also invest your money. And so investing is spending money in the short term on something that you believe is going to make you more money in the long term. So some examples would be real estate. If you invest in a property while the market is down and then the market turns up and you sell it, you're going to make a large return on that investment. And that return, again, goes into the earnings bucket. So these are all somewhat interconnected. You can also invest into the stock market, of course. So that's buying a portion of a business that's gone public and hoping that that business becomes very profitable so that you are able to generate additional earnings. You can invest in startup ventures. So small businesses that are just starting out and need some financial backing. A classic example of this would be like the Shark Tank show when they're asking for investment. They're asking for a portion of money in exchange for a part of their company so that they can grow their company. And in return, when that company grows and becomes very profitable, then typically those investors are earning a share of that. And then collectibles, right? So this is the classic example of stamps, coins, baseball cards. Back when I was growing up, there were like Beanie Babies and Pogs and all kinds of classic toys that people thought that if they kept them, they would make a ton of money when they resold them. So that's another way that you can invest by purchasing collectibles. And then the third category is giving. And this is donating a portion of your money to a cause that you believe in, typically, with no expectations of any return. So you're not expecting to get any money back. You're just giving because you believe in whatever it is that that organization supports. So this could be a political campaign. You might give to a particular candidate that you believe in. It could be charities. You might believe in, like our organization, Young Americans Center. We are technically a nonprofit or a charity. So you could provide funding for us so that we can keep the doors open and keep running programs. You could donate to like the Humane Society, ASPCA, something like that, where you're helping a cause that you believe in. You could also donate to schools. So most schools, not all, you definitely want to check. Most schools are also tax exempt, which means that they can accept donations from the public. So those are 3 buckets of using money. And I just wanted to touch on those today because we are not going to be delving too far into those buckets today, but I did want to set that foundation. The bucket that we're going to really be talking through today is spending. And spending, of course, is using the money that you have earned or the money that you have on things that you either want or you need. And when we're talking about spending, this is excluding, of course, putting your money in a savings account, because that technically is investing, since you would earn interest on that sum of money. This is excluding if you want to invest your money in anything, if you want to donate your money to anything, right? Those are all those separate buckets that we just learned about. In spending, we're talking specifically about a transaction, so a trade scenario where you are giving money and you are getting something back in return. And we categorize, we classify spendings into 2 different categories here: needs and wants. So a need is going to be something that you must have to survive. And I even reclassify this in today's modern era to think about, we are not cavemen and we're not living in the desert in the middle of nowhere. So we're living in an urban environment, in a society, and that somewhat changes the needs that we have. And so I like to create that context for needs so that we're looking through that lens of understanding that the things we need are those to survive and thrive in today's society. So some examples would be, of course, housing, clothing, food, water, electricity, gas, certain times. If you have a car, you would have to make car payments. If you have an internet bill, for some people that's a need. And so needs do vary by person to person. For example, if you have certain medical conditions, you would have the need for your medication, whereas other people might not have those needs. So needs, while they are for the most part pretty steady, but for all of humanity to stay alive, they are going to vary slightly based on person. And then wants are going to be the things that you don't need to survive, but that you would really, really like to have, your desires. And so these are more of entertainment, improving your quality of life, making your life more fun, things like games, going to the movies, going to concerts, vacations, upgrading any of the needs that you have to something more luxurious. So let's say that I need clothing in order to not get arrested on a daily basis and stay warm, but I want nice clothing. And so I'm going to upgrade that need and spend a little bit more money on something that I want. And that difference between the need and the want, that's where that money goes, that we call that a want. Okay, so we did talk about how needs and wants can differ for different people. Of course, the things that I want are going to be different than the things that you want. Wants are very individualized and definitely vary by person, a lot more so than, wants will vary per person a lot more than needs will. And then we also want to discuss an item that could be both a need and a want. And so we did talk really briefly about how I need clothing, but maybe I want designer clothing. So that item is both a need and a want. Similar to food, right? I need food to survive, but I don't need to go to a 5-star restaurant and spend $300. That would be purely a want, right? So there is some gray area between needs and wants. And again, that varies by person, it varies by location. There are a lot of variables there, but it's important for each individual to kind of keep in their mind, define in their mind, what are their needs and what are their wants. And so you're really clear on what that is so that when you make decisions, you can sort of justify that to yourself. And so we're going to play a quick little game here to demonstrate how needs and wants affect your daily practices and the daily behaviors that you have. So in this game, let's say that you are the parent, a single parent, and you rent an apartment, you have a car, you also have 1 or 2 kids. So we'll say today you have 2 kids. that both attend high school and hope to go to college. And you are the moneymaker, so you have a full-time job. Your family loves to travel together and explore new places. And so when we talk about things that this family needs versus things that this family wants, I want you to think in your head, what is the difference between needs and wants? So if I think about needs, I'm also kind of grouping that into bills, because for most people, when you get a bill in the mail, something that you've signed up for, something that you've committed to, you do have to pay that, or there are serious negative consequences if you don't. And so we kind of group those together. For example, internet, right? So let's say that I decide that I'm going to sign up for internet because I'm working from home and it's going to make my life much easier. Well, once I sign up for that internet and I get the bill because I've already used the internet for the month, I actually have to pay that bill, or there are going to be serious consequences. They'll send me over to collections, they'll cut off the service, it'll mess up my credit score. So there are a cadre of consequences that could happen if I don't follow through. And so for this family, they have to pay their electricity bill, of course, and that's $150 per month. They have to pay the car payment. So just because you have a car doesn't mean that you own it outright. A lot of times when you buy a car, you take out a loan for that car, and then you have to make payments on that loan. And so that's the case in this particular scenario. The car payment was $200 per month to pay off that car. Then you have to pay insurance on the car, which is $80 a month. Again, and all of these numbers are very close to reality, if not lower than the real cost in the real world. And so if you're thinking, wow, that is really steep, it's actually, for most people, this is probably pretty reasonable, if not more reasonable than what they're actually paying. Then groceries. So groceries are definitely a need, and groceries for a 3-person household with 2 teenagers is going to range from $80 to $200 a month. You got to put gas in your car because you do have to go to work every day. And so gas is between $10 and $50, depending on how much you put in your car. You need to purchase books and school supplies for your kids. So that's between $50 and $100. Cell phones is something that you can decide, is that a need for you? That goes back to the values that you have. So I'm not somebody who can tell you whether a cell phone is a need or a want. For me personally, it's a need because I drive around a lot for work. And so it's important to me that I am able to get in touch with help if something were to go wrong. But then I also upgraded that need because I wanted a smartphone that I can check emails and I can get on different apps and things like that. So for me, that expense is both a need and a want, but that will differ for everybody. So you have to decide in your own value system, where does that fall? And then internet is $30 a month. So those are the basic needs that this family has. Oh, and rent, sorry, biggest one. Rent is $1,200, and that's due the last day of the month. Okay. And so when you see all of these needs or bills, it becomes a little bit overwhelming. Like, there's so much here that I have to pay. It seems like all I do in life is just pay bills. And trust me, I think probably your parents or every adult at some point has felt that way. But today we're going to talk a little bit through how you can organize all of these payments so that it's easy for you to manage and it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And so the way that we're going to do that is by creating a budget. And I'm sure you've heard the term budget before, or heard budgeting or something like that, right? And a lot of times it's used in a connotation like, oh, I got to stick to my budget, or I can't go over my budget. And the connotation is that a budget is strictly for people who don't have enough money. And I really, really want to emphasize that that is not the case at all. A budget is simply a plan for how you want to spend your money. And so you could be a multi-billionaire and decide that you want to buy a yacht, and you have to set aside money every month so that you can have enough money to buy that yacht, right? You're obviously not poor, but you still want to create a plan so that you're responsibly deciding whether you have the funds to be able to make this purchase. And that's kind of what it's all about, is being really clear on where your money is going so that you know how much money you have at any given time and you can make informed decisions about what you want to spend. And so sticking to your plan, or your budget, in other words, makes sure that you don't spend more than you have. So I'm sure that you've heard the term overdraft or over withdraw. And a lot of times they are associated with different fees, because if you spend more than you have, especially in a bank account that you have like a credit or a debit card, if you spend more than you have, if it's a credit card, it'll get declined. And if it's a debit card, you'll incur some overdraft fees, which means they'll charge you extra money for paying more money than you have, which is sort of like counterintuitive, because if you don't have any money, then why would they charge you more money? But that's how the banks make money. And so it's really important that when you're creating these plans, you're following them and keeping them up to date so that you know exactly how much money you have at all times. All right, so when you create your budget, it's always important that you start with your earnings. And we talked about earnings before, and earnings, again, are ways that you bring in money. And so if this is a job, you would kind of calculate how much money you're earning on a monthly basis. For you all, for the most part, the jobs that you would have would probably be hourly and part-time. And so you would probably take an average. Like if each of my paychecks, let's say I get paid every week and each of my paychecks is roughly $150, then for the end of the month, I would have roughly $600 to work with. And that's just an example. In this particular example, the parent is earning $750 a week. And so they're actually making $3,000 a month, okay? And so again, you start with that earnings. That is your baseline. That's before you plan to spend anything, you have to make sure that you have some money coming in. And then you're going to subtract all of your needs. And so we added up all of those bills that we talked about in the previous slide. So I'll go back one moment just so that you can see that. So we added all of these up. And that came to $2,000. And so we've got $1,000 left. And the difference here, that $1,000, is what we call disposable income. And this is the money that you have that you can spend on your wants. And this is really fun because if you do your budgeting correctly, you have this sort of buffer zone every month where you know, okay, I've already planned and accounted for paying all of my bills, so I know I can afford that. And I still have this $1,000 that I can spend on things that are important to me. And that could be something immediate, like maybe I want to go to the movies, or maybe I want to go to a concert, or it could be like maybe I want to put it into my savings account and actually invest it in myself. And so down the road, I have extra money to do something a lot bigger. Now, using a budget is going to help you save for big expenses, like I said before. If you know how much money you have coming in on a monthly basis, and you know how much money you have going out, you can be in control of your finances. And so you have a better ability to be able to save for bigger things. Maybe you want to buy a car. Well, cars don't just buy themselves. You have to have a down payment for the most part to be able to purchase that car. So even if you're financing it, getting a loan for that car, you still have to make some sort of payment to get it started, to get that loan started. And so having a budget can help you save for that car. It also helps you keep you on track with your financial goals. Let's say that you're planning to go to college and you know that you need a certain amount of money for the first semester in order to pay for all of your expenses. If you are keeping on track with your with your finances right now, then you're going to have a much higher chance of staying on track with those goals for the first semester when you need to have that certain amount of money. And then most importantly, budgets help make sure that you don't get into financial trouble. So it's not just making the budget, it's also following the budget. I could make budgets all day, but once I make it, I toss it in the trash, it's not going to help me. So the act of budgeting, we're combining the two. So the act of budgeting is creating your budget and also following your budget. And when you do those things, it helps make sure that you're not spending more than you have and getting yourself into trouble. Okay, so this is an example of a budget, and I'm going to actually send this spreadsheet to you all, and you can obviously modify it based on like your earnings, your categories, but all of the formulas are in here. So I think it's nice to be able to have something like that that you can use for your own individual spending. Sorry, I'm trying to look for the chat. There we go. It's always tricky when you're sharing your screen. Okay, so this is the budget that we're using for this particular example. And if you guys would like to play along, you are more than welcome to and encouraged to. And so we begin by creating a budget for this example. Now, we went over all of the needs that this family has. We went over their basics, right? And so we've got rent, electricity, car payment, internet, car insurance. Those are our bills that we subtracted out. Now, when we talked about disposable income, we also said that we had only $1,000 left in disposable income. And the reason being is that we got our needs or our bills out of the way first, but some of these categories here, like let's say paying for a cell phone, paying for gas for your car, paying for groceries, all of those are still needs. So just because they're not part of the bills that you pay every month, they're more variable, they change every month. Whereas a lot of times, these first part of your bills, rent, electricity, car payment, internet, those are pretty stable. They don't change too much every month. But your cell phone bill may change every month. The gas that you put in your car may change every month. Your groceries will definitely change every month. So we just did an estimate in that prior example that came up to about $340 for groceries, gas, and cell phone. That gave you $1,000 left in disposable income. So if you're confused about the difference in those two figures, that's where it comes from. But in this, we want to give you the opportunity to create a budget that matches and aligns with your values. So for example, if a cell phone is really important to you, how much money would you put in your cell phone budget? If you drive a ton, you probably need to put more money in your gas budget. If going to a gym is something that's really important to you, you would put money in the gym budget. Now, right now, I don't know many gyms that are even open, so that'll probably save you some money. But I know that groceries is very important. Education supplies for yourself, or again, in this game situation, the simulation, it would be for the children that you have in your household. All of it adds up. And so by having this budget, you can create this plan, and then you can reference back when different spending opportunities present themselves. So assuming that we have our budget filled out, this is an example of a real life simulation that is pretty close to normal in everyday life. So again, I said that the parent earns $750 a week, which is $3,000 a month. And in life, you could spend your money however you want according to your budget. If you run out of money at any point, you're gonna lose. You're gonna, in real life, you would be in a really tough position. In this simulation, you're just out of the game. You and your group need to decide what are needs and wants. And so that's same as real life. You have to determine what's important and what you can pass on. If you don't pay your needs, you're going to have some serious consequences in life. For example, if you choose not to purchase food, that's probably going to be a problem for you and your family. If you choose to make a purchase, what you're going to do is select it on the spreadsheet that I've got. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about in maintaining your budget is called a cash flow ledger. And this is a very, very important activity to keep track of the funds that you have going in and going out based on your spending. And so you use your budget and your cash flow ledger in conjunction with one another you combine them to keep organized all of your spending. So while your budget is sort of a plan in advance of any of the spending that you do, your cash flow ledger keeps track of your spending in real time. So every time you spend something, you want to record it on your cash flow ledger, or anytime that you get money in, you want to record it on your cash flow ledger to make sure that at any given time, you know the exact amount of money that you should have. Now, you might be thinking, well, I have a bank account and I have online banking. So all I have to do is log in and check my account and I know that I'm fine because I know how much money I have. And I would say for the most part, that's pretty true. However, there are two circumstances that would argue in the opposition to also advocate for creating a cash flow ledger and maintaining it. First of all, online accounts are delayed at least 2 to 5 business days. And so if you've made a big purchase and you want to make sure that it hits your account in time, you want to make sure that your paycheck is going to get there before the purchase gets there. All of that stuff can be really confusing if you're not sure exactly where your money is coming from and when it's going to hit your account. And so if you keep track of this, you have a lot more security and control over how much money you actually have versus how much money your bank account might say you have. So let's say your bank account says that you have $500 left, but actually you made a transaction a couple days ago that you forgot about for $200. And it just hasn't shown up on your bank account statement yet. That's going to be a big issue if you decide that you want to spend that $500 on something bigger, right? So it's important that you're keeping track of that in a live, up-to-date fashion. The second caveat here is theft or fraud. And I've had this happen where somebody got my credit card information and they made a purchase that if I wasn't keeping track of how much money I should be having, and I went to my statement and it didn't match, then I think, uh-oh, something's up there. And then I can go back and look at all of those entries, which is what we call each one of these either transactions, the things that you spend or the deposits that you have. I went back and looked at all of those entries and found, oh, there's something here that's a little expensive and I did not buy that. And so it allowed me to be more proactive and call the bank and say, hey, this is not me. I did not do this. And then they were able to refund that money and set it right. So those are the two reasons that doing this yourself is really, really helpful to be in control of your money. So once again, I do have a cash flow ledger that I will put in the chat if I can get there. Oh, excuse me, sorry. On the budget sheet, there's a cash flow ledger tab. Sorry. All right, so we're going to go through this game here, and I'm just going to talk you through it. And this is editable, so let's see if I can get the chat. So I'm going to let everybody make a copy of it, and you can play along, which is fine. All right. So the way that it works is that there will be different spending decisions that happen each day, just like in real life. Every day you're presented with different opportunities to buy things. And you can either decide to buy them because you really want them, or you can decide that you don't want to buy them and you want to keep your money. And so that's kind of what we're going to be going through here today. And so I'm going to be switching between slides. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat, but we'll go through as far as we can get here. So day one is payday, and I'm going to click on the little link that is payday. And once I click on it, it goes black. So I can't unclick it at that point. And the cool thing about this is that it will actually keep track of my balance. And the term we use, balance, is how much money you currently have. So that's an important one. So I can look at my balance here. Ooh, and now I have $750. Okay, great. What's day two? So I go to day two, and on day two, it looks like we're going cell phone shopping. And so we have a lot of different options for different phones. And then afterward, we have the option to go out to dinner and get fast food. Now, before I do anything here, I want to go back to my budget. Now, again, I haven't filled this out, but let's say I do right now. So let's say for cell phones, I want to put $160 in there because I do have 2 kids in this game, right? For gas, let's say I'll put 50. Gym membership, I'm going to skip because I don't think any gyms are open right now. Groceries, I'm going to put kind of a lot because I've got 2 teenagers plus me and I eat a lot. Education supplies, I think I'll put 50 just because I do have 2 teenagers. Gifts and special occasions, maybe I'll put 20 there. Travel, I definitely want to put some money in travel because we decided earlier that this family loves traveling together. And traveling with 2 teenagers is probably expensive. So I might put $500 in travel. Dining out, that I think I'm probably not going to put very much money, maybe $30 in dining out, because if I'm going to buy all those groceries, then we're going to eat at home most of the time. Clothing and shoes, I think I'll put $100 in that category because again, I've got 2 teenagers. I know they love going shopping. And so I want to make sure that I have some money set aside so that I can keep their clothes on their back and keep them happy. And then entertainment. So this would be like buying, renting movies. It would be going to concerts. It would be going to the movies when that was an option. So right now, again, because I do rent a lot of movies at home, I think I'll put $20 in that category. All right, so this tells me I have 200, if I follow this accordingly, I have $260 left in my savings, and that makes me feel pretty confident and secure. So then I can go back, then I can go back and look at cell phones. Now I put $160, I believe, in my cell phone budget. Yep, 160. And so it looks like I can buy a smartphone for me, and then I can buy 2 flip phones for my kids. So I'm gonna choose option 2 and option 4 here. Option 2 and option 4, and everybody gets cell phones. And then when I think about the burger or the fast food, I'm going to pass on that because I know we have food at home, and I think I would prefer to just make a healthy meal at home rather than getting something that is expensive and is not very healthy for my kids. So we'll move on to day 3. Ooh, day 3, we go to the mall. Oh boy, I'm going to be in trouble. So I see all these cute things and I know that my kids really want them. I only put $100 in my budget for shopping. So maybe I would get some joggers for my son and some jeans for my daughter. Or maybe I would just get booties for my daughter because she has a date. Or maybe I would get a Nike hoodie and then they can share it, right? It's kind of unisex. I don't know how much teenagers would share clothes with their siblings, but so you can think through those different combinations. I think the decision that I'm going to make is a hoodie and jeans because those are equal dollar amounts. And I know that if you have siblings, you want everything to be fair. So we'll do buying option 2 and buying option 5. So if I go back here, I will pick buying option 2 and buying option 5. Okay, next day. Now we have to fill up our gas tank. Now, as a working parent, I kind of drive a lot because my kids don't have cars. So sometimes they take the bus, but they also prefer that I drive them. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up the gas tank. It seems like a better deal to fill up the tank than just get a quarter tank or a half tank. So I think my best bet is to fill it up all the way. So I'm going to go with option 1. All right. Now, if I'm feeling nervous here and I think, how much money do I have left? I've spent a lot. I can always go to my balance tab and see exactly how much money I have. $560. Okay, good. It looks like the next day I'm doing some sort of shopping. So here we go. We're going to go grocery shopping now. So I need to include protein and carbohydrates, enough to feed my family. I can choose as much as I want and everything will update automatically. So that's great. Let's go shopping. Okay, let's see what we got. So we do have soda. I'm not gonna buy that because it's a lot of sugar. Canned beans, I definitely will buy. So let's say I buy 4 cans of that. Carrots, yep, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get some chicken. I do have to get some chocolate cupcakes because I know that my kids love it, and Doritos. I'll get some eggs. I'm gonna skip the Cheetos and the buffalo wings. I might get a couple frozen dinners in case I have to work late and the kids have to make food for themselves. I'll get some frozen fruit to make smoothies, a pizza, some frozen vegetables, definitely. Granola bars for snacks, some ground beef, definitely. I'm gonna pass on hamburger buns, get some lettuce, maybe mac and cheese, oatmeal, pasta sauce, peanut butter, Pop-Tarts, because I know the kids love them, some rice, maybe salad dressing because I did get the lettuce. I'll get some spices, trail mix, and bread. All right, $103. And if I go back to look at my budget, for groceries, I budgeted $150. So I'm well within my budget. If I wanted to add a little bit more because maybe I was skimping to save money, I could go back and maybe I wanted to add another box of pasta. Maybe I wanted to add some milk, and I can get some Lucky Charms too. That seems like a good grocery list. Okay, great. Now, once I've already done that, it's going to automatically add that to my total. So if I look at my balance, it's automatically been calculated. All right, great. Let's move on. We're killing it here. Day 6, kids start a new semester and they need books and school supplies. So I did budget $50 for this, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that. And then the last day of the week, I have to pay my electricity bill. So ordinarily, I might be really concerned about this, but luckily I created my budget. And so I know that I have enough money to pay this electricity. So I can go ahead and pay that. And I can check my balance at the end of week 1, and I have almost $250 left. So I feel pretty good about that. Let's move on to week 2. Payday. That's my favorite type of day. So I'll go ahead and pay myself, and that's going to add that money to my balance. And then day 9, I can go to the gym. Now, I did not put any money in the gym budget, so I'm going to pass on that. Day 10, I have to make my car payment and my insurance payment. Now, again, these would be, the $280 is a lot to spend on one day. So that might be really stressful for somebody who doesn't have a budget and isn't sure if they have enough money to cover it. But fortunately, I did plan, and so I know that I do have enough money. So I can pay those without being stressed about it. All right. Now, day 11, I can go to see a movie. I can buy some popcorn, drink some candy. And if I bought a quarter tank of gas, I have to fill up. So fortunately, I bought a full tank. I don't have to worry about that. Go to see a movie and buy popcorn, drink some candy. I think maybe we'll go to a movie, but we probably will not buy the snacks at the movie theater because they are very overpriced. So we can go see a movie as a family and enjoy that, maybe sneak some snacks in with us, because I did buy that trail mix and I also bought granola bars. So I think we can make that work. So we're going to go to the movies, but that's it. Day 12, today I don't feel like cooking dinner. The option to order pizza. I think I'm going to go for it. Some days you just don't feel like cooking and you want to order out. And I did put some money in my dining out budget. So let's double check that. Dining out, I put $30, which is exactly how much this costs. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that. I'm going to buy pizza because it sounds great. And look, you get 2 pizzas, cheesy bread, and wings. That's a great deal. And then if I didn't buy school supplies for my kids, now they're failing and they require a tutor. Fortunately, I did buy all of that for my kids, so we're good. Okay, next day. If you didn't purchase at least 3 of the following items, you're out of food and you have to return to the grocery store. I think I bought all of these items. So again, we're good here. All right, day 14. Oh no, on the way to work, I got a flat tire and I have to buy a new one. This is a big bummer because I need my car to go to work every day. And if I don't, then I'm going to get fired. So I do have to make this purchase. And this is going to be a situation where I can't really plan for these things to happen. And we call this pulling from your rainy day fund, which means that you have money set aside, that's sort of a buffer that you can pull from to pay for things like this that you can't really plan for. So some other examples would be medical bills, or for example, like if you have a pet and your pet has to go to the veterinarian, or your pet gets sick and you have to buy something for him or her, that's an added expense that you usually don't plan for. Things that happen to your apartment or your house that you have to pay for out of pocket. All of those are good examples of different things that could happen where you would want to pull from kind of we call it a rainy day fund, or an amount of savings that you aren't necessarily saving for. All right, we're wrapping up here. So I am going to pay for my flat tire, and then I would check my balance. And I have almost $550 left after all of that. So I'm feeling very good about following my budget. And when I go through and check how much I've got and how my budget helped, all of that makes me feel a lot more in control of my own money. So as we wrap up today, I hope that this helps you to feel in control of your money and give you some tangible steps to keep track of the money that you earn, the money that you spend, and maybe you can even start thinking through the money you invest and the money that you give. And so that you can follow the trail of your money in a way that's aligned to your values, that's meaningful to you. So if anyone has any questions, I am wide open, but thank you so much for coming, and I hope that you learned something.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was great. I love interactive workshops. And yes, our students did jump off because they have their next class to go to. But I told everybody, and since we house this on YouTube, I have a couple questions for you. As a person who works with high schoolers every day, and even things I know I've done myself, when you're in high school, how, I mean, as far as leveraging working and athletics and being an athlete, we have a lot of students who are athletes or in orchestra or in band and or want to play club, and they're like, well, we just can't afford it. And when they're 16, they want to work, but then the transportation is an issue because they can't get there. And so, I mean, all of these great things because they want to start making money, but then, I mean, I think budgeting and time management go hand in hand because they have to want to manage their time along with working and everything else that goes around it. But I always tell my students when I work with them, especially on their resume, that their full-time job is to be a student. And so right now, that the value there is just unsurmountable. Like you cannot have a part-time job or a job that'll pay you enough to you have to make sure that your education is your top priority. But you know, and everybody wants a cell phone, everyone wants new things, and it's so hard because we do, and I have been and gotten into debt because you want to have the newest, and your parents do too. And my parents were not budgeters, and I know a lot of our parents here don't budget. I would love to have our kids have some sort of like for a month in, you know, in a class that they have to keep track of their budget. Whether they work or they don't work, they might get money, they may not. Some get money, like weekly money, some get work, some probably, most don't. But I think this is such a great practice, especially for our seniors, in order to get used to doing this because it's hard. I mean, truly, honestly, I do not keep what did you put here? The cash tally. That was
Your cash flow ledger.
the cash flow ledger. I need to put that. I feel like you gave us some really great real life examples, and you going through this worksheet was very, very helpful because it's not like you just write it down. I just think them visually being able to see going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. Um, on can I afford this, or I have extra money here, I can just pull from that. But and that's how I think, and it's terrible because my husband's like, no, that's our emergency money, that's not our travel money, and we can't use it to travel. And so I'm just constantly torn between our budget pockets now that we have them. But this cash flow ledger is really prime, so I thank you for sharing those. But I guess it wasn't really more of a question, just kind of statements of how we do things. I would love to get you on, of course, on a regular basis and start a series, and we'll talk about the later, maybe how to invest. Or, I mean, most of our kids barely have money, much less investing. So maybe that wouldn't be a priority, but what to do, when you get a paycheck. I've heard some people say 10% always save for yourself. Is that true? So like maybe the next session and workshop, we can talk about you got your first paycheck. What do you do now? We'll think about things to make sure our students stay aware, and we want them to be not only healthy, but financially healthy. So
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm always an advocate, and this is my shameless plug, but I'm always an advocate of young people starting their own businesses, especially in the circumstances that you described, right? Where like you don't have transportation or you have a million other things going on. And we know high schoolers now are doing so many different things. And so having a consistent part-time job seems really overwhelming. And so I really, really encourage young people to think about their interests and think about things that they're skilled at, and figuring out a way to leverage those and monetize them. And so they're able to generate some revenue from doing things that they love doing anyway. And there are lots of ways to do that. There's lots of ideas and activities that we've got, if you've got any kids that are interested in that, to go through, so that they are generating revenue from a very, very low startup cost perspective. So they almost are paying nothing out of pocket to get their business up and running. And then they've got some revenue, and they can, reinvest it in the business or pay for things that they want and sort of make it a one-time thing. But I'm a huge advocate for empowering young people with their own financial independence by creating money from what you are doing. Like you are doing it from scratch. It's a very empowering feeling. So that is my shameless plug, but I'm a very strong advocate for youth entrepreneurship.
I love it because I'm an entrepreneur, and I come from a family who are entrepreneurs. My grandma has flipped 6 restaurants, and so she's amazing. And I've had a couple of boutiques myself. One was mobile, and another one, no, a couple were brick and mortar. But I've been an educator still. That has always been my main source of income. But by you saying that, I feel like I just brought up a memory. When I was a middle school teacher, I started this business club after school, and and I would work for Denver Public Schools, and they gave stipends to start a business club so you can help the kids. In that business club, like we just did really basic things, learned about businesses, learned how to start a business. I mean, they were in middle school, but I would love to offer that here at Westy. And is this what you guys do for helping students start their own business? Is this something we can do and customize for an after school program?
Definitely. Yeah. So for high school level, we have like a structured curricula that kids can we would work with you in terms of what your goals are, but the general, like most generic version is a set amount of materials, and kids can choose what they want. And then they create products from those materials that they can sell to make profit. And then if you wanted to customize it to be more of like service focused, or under the umbrella of a particular industry, we've had teachers who do like social enterprise. There's a lot of different ways that we can break it down, but that's definitely something that we have available. And especially with your students, you guys are eligible for a pretty significant, if not full scholarship. So I'd love to talk further with you about how we could make that work.
Absolutely. I'm really interested. And if I have to just volunteer my time, I think it's so valuable because it is. And it's like this awareness as an entrepreneur of budgeting and everything that it takes to sustain a business. And everybody, It's funny because when I hear people say, I'm going to start my own business, they think it's so easy, and it's not. It's not. So it sounds easy. It sounds fun. It sounds like I'm going to do this, but if it were, more people would do it.
Yeah.
And sustain it. Sustaining it is really the
Yeah,
number one
sustaining it
thing.
is the hard part.
Exactly. I remember having my business and I was like, my 1 year anniversary, and my friends are like, oh, congratulations. 90% of businesses fail in the first year. And I was like, thanks. So, and so I made it to 4 years, and then I was like, this isn't giving me enough money. I can't, I
Yeah.
mean, it was a little boutique. There was no, it was fun, but it wasn't, I was not going to ever be a target. So, I couldn't make enough money to go on vacation and for retirement. I was just living paycheck by, if you even say that you don't get paychecks and work for yourself.
Right.
I mean, you hope you do eventually, but anyway, I'm just blabbering. I really think this is exciting. I really would love to start a business club. Now, with your curriculum, do you guys provide the instructor, or do we do it? Are we the ones who run it?
Primarily, it's a train the trainer.
Okay.
So it would be someone from your school.
Perfect. And the curriculum is like a semester long, a year long?
It depends on you. So it's super flexible. The curriculum, the program I'm thinking would be best for what you are envisioning is a 15 1-hour session curriculum. And so for a lot of clubs, they do that like 2 nights a week for 7 weeks or something like that. But it's kind of dependent on however you want to do it. We've done like boot camps over the weekend before. There's a lot of different options, but it's 15 sessions.
Okay. And then do you guys work with educators during the summer?
Yeah.
So I wonder if a boot camp would be kind of interesting in the summer for
Yeah.
universities who are interested, but have a club during the week. What do you mean by scholarship?
So for schools who qualify based on free and reduced lunch percentages, and those are just, we just get those from the CDE, we would be able to provide you with I think you guys are definitely meet that threshold. You would qualify for a full scholarship for the program, so you wouldn't have to pay.
Oh, so this is a program you have to pay for normally?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we can still apply for scholarships. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you send me over some information about that?
Definitely.
I'll
Yeah.
talk to my boss about it. And I know she'd be willing, as long as I obviously would need to commit my time, which I would love to. So, well, Anna, thank you so much. And sorry, everybody, for that extra little tidbit at the end. But if you guys want to join our business club, which hopefully will be coming soon, let me know and start your own business. Thanks, Anna. And we'll definitely
thank you so much
out and start another series and have you talk about another topic.
Yeah, this is great. This is super fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.